Morning, everybody. Welcome to April. Of all the ironies, you would kind of wonder how I'd forget about this. April is Financial Literacy Month. I stumbled into that accidentally kind of well. I also read an interesting article this morning. 60% of Americans cannot put their hands on $400. That's pretty bad. So it's not going to be you guys here soon. You guys are going to be way better. So today I want to talk to you about savings. This is not retirement savings or any of that nature. This is just emergency funds and like a cash cushion. Okay. But before we get into it, I want to explain something about interest rates to you that you might not think about. Well, you probably don't, because we don't teach this. And unless you read it in Money Magazine or heard it in the financial news somewhere, you'd never think about it. So a lot of people say to me, this whole Ally Bank thing seems kind of like a pain in the ass. You want me to set up a savings account there for emergencies, and then maybe another savings account there for vacation or car down payment, then a money market account so I can access it. Then you want me to also link my bank account to it. And then I got to wait for my checks, my debit card, and all that. And there is a reason that I am pushing you to do that. If you bank at any local bank here in Oklahoma or Kentucky, if you bank at a credit union, large financial institution like Chase or Bank of America or PNC Bank, the interest rate they give you is very low. It's generally about, I would say 0.2% would be the highest you would ever see. And that is 1/5 of 1% return on what you stick there that you're just not going to use right now. Okay. Now, in the world of interest rates, there are two of them. So there is what is called your your nominal interest rate, which is the stated rate. At Ally, that would be 2.2% on their savings account. And then you have what is called your real interest rate. It is the interest rate minus inflation. Inflation is how much do prices increase every year, which devalues your money. The most current data we have is November of 18, at which inflation was 2.2%. And ironically, that's the savings rate at Ally, the percent you get returned on your money. So let's say for a minute that you have $100 in your Ally savings account for emergencies, and every year you're getting 2.2%. And over the next year, inflation stays the same, and you don't have an emergency. A year from now, you will have $102.20. And in the world of our economy, things that a year ago cost $100 now cost $102.20. So inflation eats away at your money over time when it's sitting there as cash. Okay. So the reason I ask people to jump through these further hoops to get with an online only bank is because of that erosion of money over time. And the goal of your emergency fund is that it just sits there waiting for a disaster. It's not going to get touched, spent, messed with. It's just going to lay there. I just don't want your money devaluing itself over time by any more than it has to. Now, on that note, I want you to remember that things you purchase, the same rule applies. Let's say that your mortgage interest rate is 5%. Okay. You are paying back your bank the capital for your home plus a 5% fee to use their money, but the money you give back to them is being devalued by 2.2% due to inflation every year. So your stated or nominal rate on your home loan is 5%, but your real interest rate is 3.8 because the money that you're giving back to them is losing some of its value. So you have nominal or stated rates and the real rate, which is after inflation. So if you open up a savings account at your local bank and it pays you 0.2%, you are going negative 2% every year. And I can tell you that the October inflation number was 2.5. So for the month of October, technically I lost 0.3% on my emergency fund. So it is what it is. Not a lot. But had I been banking at Chase or my credit union, that would have been a lot worse. I mean, and you're not going to really notice the 2%, but I'm telling you over a long period of time, those numbers add up. So today, I want to talk to you all about your emergency fund, and it's going to sound massive at first, but you can get there. The industry standard used to be 3 months of expenses set back for an emergency. It's now kind of evolved to more like 6. And this happened after the big recession we had in 2008 and 9. Also, I like the 6-month number better because renters and homeowners are under a lot of different rules. And if you own your own home, you need a lot more cash sitting back in case. Because I did my roof a couple years ago after hail damage. Even with my homeowner's insurance, the deductible was $2,300. Okay. If you need a new hot water heater, things of that nature, they are much more expensive than if you live in an apartment or if you rent, because you have a landlord who will take care of all that stuff for you. If you're a homeowner and your dryer goes out, then that's on you. Either you're going to be smart enough or savvy enough, like my friend Carissa, to go out and figure out how to change out a heating element, or you're going to have to go purchase a new one. Gosh, when was it? Kristen could keep me honest on this, but it was like last fall, we started noticing brown spots on our whites when they would come out of the washer. And turns out we had oil leaking from the transmission that runs the washer into the drum. And I talked to a guy, and he said that the cost to fix that would be just as much, if not more, than a new washing machine. So while we didn't get a fancy one or anything crazy, it still cost us somewhere around $500. But we couldn't just not wash our clothes, and I did not want to load up everything into bags and drive to a laundromat or whatever. So these things are going to happen, and you need to have the money there for them. And the reason we talk about this is because now that you've gone through, you've gotten to the end of April, you've made your small, not very painful cuts, your smart cuts because you don't use the money. Maybe you've made some very emotional, hard decision cuts out of your budget to get some money set aside, but we're trying to do 2 things with it. We're trying to get it to pay off your debt, and we're trying to get it to grow. So this is the getting it to grow part. But when I see things that tell me that 60% of Americans can't touch $400, there are not many things I can think of that are less than $400. Most people have a $500 deductible on their car insurance. Homeowners deductibles are way worse. A DUI, that's a lot more. So if you had some sort of a criminal run-in or a criminal problem, trying to think of something else, just your own personal things that need to be replaced. But homeowners, we've got it way worse because we are long past the day where we just call a phone number and somebody says, hey, I'll take care of it for you. So that is why I ask you to jump through so many hoops to get this money set back at Ally Bank. Now, I want to explain this 6-month rule. A lot of people think when I say 6 months worth of your expenses, that means exactly 6 months worth of your pay. And it is not your pay. Let's pretend that today in my life, and I'm just going to kind of take Kristen out of it for just a second so that this will make sense. Let's say I get laid off today and I will not qualify for unemployment because I did something stupid, like I sexually harassed somebody or I stole or whatever, and my job's gone, okay? So now I have 0 income, none. At this point, that is what your emergency fund is for, but however, it's not exactly 6 months worth of pay. So if today I were to end up in that situation with absolutely nothing coming in, I can guarantee you my cable would get shut off right now. I would probably turn off my home Wi-Fi. I wouldn't be eating out. I'd be canceling Netflix, HBO. So what I'm wanting you to do is sit down and determine, on top of just your budget, what are the things in that budget that I told you you can't ever mark off? Okay, so while I'm unemployed and looking for a job, I can't not pay my mortgage or my rent. I can't not pay my car payment. I can't not get gas for the car. I can't not have a cell phone to get, interviews and be able to get online to apply places. You can't not pay your heating, electric, gas, water. You can't not pay your car insurance unless you want to risk it. So what I'm talking about are just those line items in your budget that must be paid for every month, no matter what. And if you got to the end of April and you were lucky enough to keep cable, let's say, that's something that could easily be dispersed in case of emergency. So you need to find out what is the bare minimum amount of money you could live on for 6 months. And your goal is to get that put back in your Ally Bank emergency fund savings account that pays the 2.2%, and it just lays there. Okay. Now, when an emergency comes up, I told you all back in the first or second video that a lot of times once people start to amass a little bit of money, they don't want to touch it. And you will have this. I promise you it's going to happen to 9 out of 10 of you. You're going to get some money built up and you're going to have an emergency and you're going to have to pull some of that out and you're going to hate it. That's what it's there for. So what I want you to think about is a couple of years down the road, when you have 6 months worth of emergency expenses laying there, you're in just to a normal routine of like what happened to me when I had to do my roof, or if you lose an appliance, whereas you just go in and you pull that money out, you make your purchase, and then you just start putting money back in there till you've paid that amount of money back, and then you move on with your life. But in the beginning stages, people that get themselves to $800, $900 to $1,500 range and then have a $500 emergency really don't like touching that money. But that's what it's there for. Okay, I want you to be in a place where we got to pay off debt next, so we don't want to be adding any more to that. I don't want to have to come back in August or September and have to readjust my budget because now I owe more money on my credit card because I need a new washing machine or a new wheel, or I had to pay a car deductible for a wreck. So the goal is to get you to quit using debt so that we can start to pay that off and then use that money to invest and grow with later. So this is not a hard thing to understand. It's just finding a way in your budget to have that extra money to put into the emergency fund, because there's another thing that we're going to start discussing later this week, just paying off your credit card debt, silly debt you should never have had. And that's just as important as having your savings. But I want to get the savings out of the way because it's pretty simple. You're going to spend the month of April tracking every penny. You're going to cut either easily, not so easily, or very painfully things out of your budget so that there's breathing room. And then you're going to use that breathing room to begin putting money back so that you have a cushion and don't have to worry about it. Okay. I heard a great line the other day. It was perfect. Peace of mind is just not the things you can have. It's the things you don't ever worry about. So if I leave today and I go run my errands and I plow into the back of somebody, I'm not worried that I can't get my hands on the $500 for my car deductible. It's just a worry that never crosses my mind. And I can tell you that stress has a lot of negative benefits to people's life. And the number one stressor in this country for years now has always been money, finances, debt, making ends meet, things of that nature. So the goal is to get to 6 months, get there as soon as you can, but we're going to have to do it while we pay off your debt at the same time. So maybe this video, I would encourage you, if you're thinking about things that you can cut out of your budget, maybe start even thinking more creatively, because the more extra we have laying around at the end of every month, the quicker we eliminate debt, which then gives you even more money laying around at the end of every month, which more quickly gets you to your 6-month emergency fund, which then more quickly gets you a place where you're now able to go out and open up a brokerage account and make some smart investing decisions that will last you for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. For the younger ones of you all who I'm friends with, you are in great shape. This is like the perfect time. If you're older, we get some things we can do to catch up, but that is just your emergency fund. That's all I want to talk about today. I want you to have 6 months of living expenses sitting at Ally Bank in an emergency fund, earning its return, and tap it when you have to. It's not there for new shiny objects, clothes, shoes, going out to eat. It's not there for physical things. It's there for in case something really bad happens and you need to put your hands on it. I do not want you to have to go out and run your credit card again for $500 and keep that spiral going. So if y'all have any questions, please start getting your Ally Bank savings and money market accounts open, and start taking a look at your budget, talking with your spouse, significant other, life partner about things that you are already thinking you can eliminate after April to start getting that extra money. And again, like always, if you have any questions, please just send me a Facebook message. I would love to help. But that's a quick little hit on interest rates and your emergency fund. I don't know when we'll do the next one, but the next one is going to be debt, specifically credit cards. So be ready for that one. That one might take a little while, but it'll be the next one we do. You all have a good day, and I'll talk to you all next time.